families. Hell yeah. That's a lot. Ooh, stretched a little bit, but we can.
Yeah, I didn't know how to Photoshop it properly, but I gave it a shot.
That looks pretty good. I'll just open them all in new tabs so I have a little bit more freedom on the zooming and stuff. There we go. More liberty. All right, let's check your voice levels. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Among the top 5% of mic volumes. Good job. Don't know if that's a credit to you or to your hardware, but you know, you could just take it as one for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Just, you know, when in doubt, just make it a personal accomplishment. Okay. Let's get started. What do we have here? I heard you say arc. Is that? Oh,
Yes.
looks very arcy. What are you at in the game? Like, what stage are we?
My original goal a few months ago was to be able to solo CRA, so I got to that point, and then I basically just been doing Legion, and I'm finishing my prereqs for Damien and Lotus at the moment. So I'm trying to figure out what I should do in the meantime, basically.
Okay, yeah, just the prequests basically. Is that what you know?
Yeah, I just finished. I'm literally doing like the last quest or last act of Lotus, and Damien's already done.
Okay. All right. So you're very close. All right. So we basically want to set everything in order for you to do Lotus and Damien. And then let's say that we can do that for you. Is there any step after that, or are you just gonna figure that out once you get to it?
I don't understand. What do you mean by figure it out? Like,
well, I mean, are you gonna? Do you already have something in mind that you want to aim for after that? Like, what's the next goal, or?
No, not really, actually.
Okay. So.
I'll probably just figure it out afterwards.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, one step at a time. Yeah, I think it's good to have like a goal to work towards, but not to get too crazy ahead of yourself, because then it depends on person to person, right? For some person, it's more motivating, and for some people, it becomes demoralizing, and then you lose motivation.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason why I started playing again is because I watched how you played it. Because before, it was like I got back into it because of quarantine and everything, and I was like, okay, I have to do this, and it was like, Jesus Christ, this is way too much. Like it's overwhelming.
6 hours of dailies, and then when
Yeah,
do I get to play?
exactly. When do I get to have fun? Like I just farm arcane orbs, and then now I have to do Haven and Damien, and then I'll have to try to do Golux, and I have to do this, and it's like, jeez. And then collect event coins and stuff. I was like, this is just overwhelming. So after watching you, I started just like doing certain things, certain sections rather. Like, so right now I'm trying to get Golux, do Legion, and do Lotus and Damien.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Golux wise, how far are you with that? Done hard in hell, or?
I can't solo Helix well. I can do it sometimes, but phase 2 I suck at. I keep dying too often in phase 2.
The fire with the reverse with the bomb, or?
Yeah, it's the reverse screws me, and then I can't dodge his hands well enough. So that's one of the big issues of it.
What have you tried to use for hand dodging?
My transformed charge attack thing on the arc, and then using that what is this ability called? Abyssal Recall is another one I use. And then I can use like Vivid Nightmare or things like that to like move me. But when I do that, like I'll dodge the hand, but then I'll get reversed, and then I'll fall to like the bottom platform, and then you do like an explosion, and it kills me.
So there's a skill that allows you to dodge the hand, and that doesn't move you horizontally.
Which skill is that?
The up jump.
Oh, I can use that. Oh wow, that's gonna change everything.
Yeah. So wait, actually, I can't tell if you were being sarcastic right there.
No, absolutely, because
Yeah.
it's so simple. I did not even think about
And if it doesn't give you enough
trying to do
airtime
that.
and you fall back into the hand, if that does happen, what you could do is do unstoppable impulse backwards and then forwards, so you land in the same spot that you were standing before, basically.
Okay.
That could be another option if it doesn't give you, but I think it should give you enough airtime. But the hitbox lingers a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So either unstoppable impulse or Scarlet Drive dash to the left, because you're probably standing on the left side, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So Scarlet Drive to the left, so that gives you a little bit more airtime, and then the blue drive back down, so you like make like a triangle in the air, basically.
Okay.
So you get a little bit more airtime, and then the hand should be gone again. But then, yeah, you make it so that you land relatively quickly, but after the hand, and also roughly in the same spot. At least not more to the right, not closer to him. Yeah, because you don't want to get that reverse with the fire, and you can iframe it. And there's a very small possibility. So if you don't have any, when the potatoes reach the middle, you get the debuffs over your head, right?
Yeah.
You get the stacks. If you don't have any of those yet, then you can leave the map on the left side through the portal at any time you want, and you can just sit out there and just wait for your cooldowns to come back.
Yeah, yeah. So I've done that for like meter and stuff, Spectre meter,
Mm-hmm.
or if I want to wait for cooldowns, I've done. That's how I do. Whenever I'm successful, it's when I'm patient like that.
Yeah,
Um,
and it feels kind of scummy to do it that way, but you know,
yeah,
if it
does.
works, then yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
it
also
makes
a way that you can cleanse if you do get the inverse, the stack, and you can get through the portal in time, and you do because your iframe is maybe not on, and you can get through the portal, then the bomb also disappears, like cleanses it. So that could be.
what I've tried it. Whenever I have a stack on my head, if I
Mm-hmm.
go into the portal, it doesn't let me go
Yeah.
to.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
So so how do you cleanse it exactly?
Well, so if you have the fire on you, the reverse, but you don't have any stacks yet, then you can leave. But if you, as soon as you
Oh,
have
I
a
get what
stack,
you're
you're like
saying.
locked in the map, and then you have to wait for 5, and then you die. But then you do lose the stacks. So one of the major things I think that will allow you to take a big chunk out of phase 2 and significantly shorten phase 2 is make sure that in phase 1 you just don't get any stacks, right? And then right before you kill the Chin, you just leave, wait for all your cooldowns to be up, and then make sure that you use the your boosted your hyper that boosts all your other things, right? And then you go in, you pop all of those, and then if he uses the eye bomb on you or something, whatever, you just pop the hungry beast and then abyssal, and then you're just constantly clearing the potatoes, and that should take a huge chunk out of phase 2 already. The bomb will probably go off during abyssal and just fizzle, and then you can go up and go to the left side, and get through. Hopefully most of most of phase 2. And if you stand all the way on the left side of the middle platform, the hand shouldn't come up to hit you, and that should be still close enough to be able to use your bullets plus your, oh god, my knowledge of the skills is being tested here, your magic infinity spell, there we go, with endless agony, which is also a huge chunk of your damage.
Yeah.
But if you stand all the way on the left, you shouldn't be able to get hit there. The hand just doesn't come up.
The hand won't come up
Yeah.
if you stay for all. Oh, really?
Yeah, but you have to be way on the corner. I think that puts you slightly out of range of endless dream and endless nightmare. But I think, what is it? Devious nightmare, like the after image one, right?
Yeah, the one that, like every 5 seconds or something activates or something like that.
Yeah, the empowered. What is it?
Yeah.
It's 10 seconds. Man, it feels so much less. Yeah, that one will still hit. So, but between the other skills, yeah, I might have to. So I don't know how far that's gonna get you, and you could just do that and then see how far it gets you. And if it's like about halfway, you could just jump out again, and then come back again when everything's ready. And yeah, it'll be like a 10-minute or like maybe even longer run, but it'll be way more of a guaranteed clear. And you just kind of block that time in the day, because this is like a very valuable progress, right? If you get the coins and a chance for the drops, like that's kind of the huge blockage that's gonna help you move forward, getting that 4 set and getting all of those coins.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you do have
So
the
I mean,
ring now.
what was that?
You do have the superior ring now, I see.
Yeah, I have the ring.
And then you bought those with coins, and then you haven't gotten lucky with any drops so far.
No, I have 850 coins right now, so I'm kind of waiting to see what drop I get, and then I'll buy like the
Mm-hmm.
opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, what doesn't drop? Is it earrings? No, pendant doesn't drop now, right?
Yeah, that's switch. Yeah, so the pendant is the one that you'll have to buy anyway.
So I
Yeah.
should buy pendant and
Yeah,
try
you
to
can
find
already buy. Yeah.
earring and belt.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
Okay, but I think you'll have some things to try, and Arc is super strong and everything, so I think that'll give you some extra benefit. Okay, so you were working on the Legion a little bit more recently.
Yeah, so I was at about I took a like 2 month, 3 month break,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was up 2,500. So I basically with work and everything, I play like an hour a day, and I just grind characters. So I've gotten up to 4,700 at the moment, 47 and change.
Mm-hmm. That's looking good. Okay, and then you
Yeah,
prioritize the critical damage. Your critical rate is at 100% with the Scarlet Drive and probably decent shot price, I'm guessing.
yeah. To be honest with you, um, I'm really bad at making sure my star buffs are up.
Okay.
So I actually spec myself to be at 90, and then I use sharp eyes to get me to 100.
Mm-hmm. And
But
what is
I don't.
yeah?
So I use basically links, and then I have my inner ability. I have 20% crit on my inner ability, and then I have links, and then that's enough with sharp eyes to get me to 100%.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. So if you either do, yeah. So if you redo either just one, either the inner ability or just one of the links, like the.
Yeah, I'm
Well, I
thinking
guess
of
it's
getting rid of the phantom link and then putting something else.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can't do both, right? So inner ability has good value because if you're going to be training and leveling after this, if you do want to do that, getting extra drop in Mezzo would of course help you get there faster because we don't we're kind of in a luxurious position as Arc that we don't really need anything very badly from our inner ability, which means that you can go more for just the training utility and get and don't lose a lot of value. So
Mm.
that's why I rolled this inner ability a long time ago and I kept it the whole time because I don't plan on. You can see how much honor experience I've already got so far. It's not it's not like a plan that I have anytime soon. I'm close to 9 mil honor experience. I think you can only get 10 mil actually. I think you don't go over there. But like something like this just works all the way up to 300. This works. Like even when you're bossing, you're not missing out any. I mean, what you're missing out is like the +1. I think +1 passive for all levels is the best one for us, which is a little bit better than 20% boss. So like you're missing something, but as long as everything else is on point, then you can make it work.
So I have a Kana farmer with a really good inner ability roll, and
Mm-hmm.
it has 100% meso and 60% drop and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So should I still roll my inner ability to get drop and meso if I have one of a character like that, or should I focus more on like damage?
So yeah, so it kind of depends on where you need more. I think an arc by itself can be very strong, even. Well, yeah. Honestly, I think you could just like leave it kind of open and just be like, I'll just see what I get because honestly, you can't really be super picky on what you get in your inner ability, right? If you circulate it and you end up rolling like the because what do we? I think is it like the 21 attack and the 10% boss on the second and third? Is that what they want us to roll? This is my brain's or cooldown skip, yeah. Because if you do go circulate to legendary and then you roll one of these three as your second, as the second or third line, you know how it works with the tiers and everything and with the circulators.
Not really.
Okay, so So circulators have a chance to tier up, and they guarantee that you keep that you can't go down. And then within every single every stat has a bunch of tiers, which is basically like potential. So it's like rare, epic, unique, legendary. But within the tiers, there's still variation. It's kind of like with boss damage, where 35% is a legendary line, but 40 is also a legendary line. So that's how inner works as well. But if you roll, any kind of outcome that you roll with a circulator is always going to be the highest possible number within the tier that it ends up rolling. So you want to maximize and get good innerability, you want to use circulators to get your second and your third line, where there can be both epic and unique lines that show up once you have it at legendary. Your main tier is legendary. You want to try to get a very good unique line, and that's why these are like super hard to get, right? Because generally the attack that you get is going to be like 12 or maybe 15 or something, but like the best slot is like to get to 21. So you want to use circulators to get that, because in case you don't get it, you can always just go back to what you had before, right? In that sense, it's like a black cube. But if you do get what you want, then you can commit to the top one. So this gives you a lot of outs, because yeah, the 10% boss and the 10% cooldown skip and 21 attack will give you damage, but these are not like game-breaking bonuses. So if instead of this you end up rolling 15% meso or 15% drop, you could also decide, well, I'm going to keep that. And then if there's another event, I'll lock it and reroll during 50% off for the top line and see what I get there. And then if you get passive skill +1, or 20% boss, or 20% chance to skip cooldown, or 30 attack, or 20% drop or meso, whatever it is, the other one, then you can just keep whatever there. You'll just have more outs, and maybe your inner-ability will look more like a combination of mobbing and bossing, but at least it'll give a little bit for both. Whereas now that it gives just the crit rate, I think, yeah, getting in the habit of just using the Scarlet Drive more reliably will already completely outpace that, and then basically it means that your entire inner ability is not doing anything right now, except for maybe helping you be lazy about the Scarlet Drive. So what I think is good about needing the Scarlet Drive to hit 100 is that whenever it runs out, you immediately see non-crit attacks, and it immediately reminds you that you need to use it.
It's harder on certain, like I can do it while mobbing or with certain bosses. Like I feel like I get screwed on Golix when I try to farm it, and then Sea Vellum, I feel like I get, every time I try to dash through him, his tail comes up and hits me in the face. So there's certain bosses where like it's difficult. So that's why I'm like, I'm just gonna have 90 and then put Sharp Eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, I do see that. Well, like half the time that's the most important, you will always have it, right? Because then that's when you use the amplifier, and then you make sure that you use all 4. So, and that's the half the time that it's most important, because that's when you do, especially as an arc, you do disproportionately more of your damage. So at that
you get the buff, right, from
because it doubles up, and you're probably combining it with Spell Bullet, and then later maybe with Goddess Blessing and with Overdrive and with all of that stuff. So then, like, the damage that you do in your burst is going to be like 80% of your DPM, and then off is going to be like 20%, almost, something like that. So since you definitely use it during that time, and you even go to 120% already, so you're like, you're like you're technically at 140%, right? If you do the spell amplifier. But if then you can just add the inner ability to give you some kind of damage during the burst instead, that'll just have a bigger impact on your overall damage. And then even if outside of the boss fight, when you're kind of like running away from the boss, or you're just waiting for your cooldowns to come back, and then you're lacking 20% crit at that time, that's not all too bad. Remember, you can also use the tails themselves to get the charge on, right? You can just wait for the tails to spawn and just dash through those, and then hit them, and then that'll charge the spell bullet. I mean, you won't deal damage to Seavel, but as long as you hit a target, then it'll charge a spell bullet.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes use the do you sometimes pre-charge your spell bullets?
Yeah, I always do that.
Yeah, okay. But otherwise it's always on automatic, right? With the spell bullets, or no?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Otherwise, regardless of Apart from the situations where you like pre-charge them so you can do all your bursts to a boss, for example. Other than that, it's always on automatic.
Yeah, I try to do it often, just depending on the boss.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you set the spell bullets to automatic when you're mobbing and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Automatic as in like whenever I use my drive attack, they always come out. Is
Yeah.
that what you mean?
Yeah, like when it's because it's like a setting, right? Where you right click it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's often one of the things when people are like, I tried Arc, but it wasn't that fun. Usually I'm like, did you put it on automatic? And then usually the answer is no. And then like try to put it on automatic, and then it's like, oh, it's way more fun now.
Yeah.
Because yeah, your damage doesn't quite double, but almost.
Yeah, I remember I watched a YouTube video of a guy explaining how to play the character, and I was like, oh my god, I've been playing it wrong this entire time.
Yeah, last time I mentioned it, I think there was a guy who was like level 180 something, who was like, oh, whoops. And then he put it on, he's like, holy shit, I'll be 200 in no time.
Yeah, mine was kind of similar to that. I was like 210, and then I was struggling fighting Helix, or actually hard Golix at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched that video, and I was like, oh my god, this is so easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it, sometimes one piece of advice does end up giving you a whole bunch of progress.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it says here that cooldown skip 20% is also supposed to be pretty good. I don't know if during Spectre that does a whole lot. I guess it can chance to cooldown skip. Doesn't work on hypers or fifths. What is like? I mean, that helps you in Flora form. I don't know about in Spectre form if cooldown skip really helps a lot.
I don't know. What is cooldown skip?
Basically, if you use a skill, there's a chance that it just completely skips the cooldown. It just goes immediately, becomes active, usable again.
Oh, okay.
But I'm pretty sure it doesn't work on... It doesn't work on 5th jobs for sure. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work on hypers.
So it works on... which skills?
I thought it just worked on like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th job skills, I believe. US Capitol is being stormed right now. Guys, we're trying to have a Maple Story progression session here. Can we please keep our priorities straight?
Yeah, for real.
The crumbling of the American empire is a hard 2nd place right now, okay? Instead of your domestic terrorism spurred on by your
Please stop reminding me of the reason why I play Maple Story.
yeah, to escape the shit show outside.
Escape reality.
Are you in you're not in the DC area, hopefully?
No, I'm in California.
That's a little bit more south. Wait,
Yeah.
DC is
Washington's above us, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's like Seattle, Washington. Yeah. And then the state with and then the one with all the hipsters, right?
Yep. Correct.
I know my states.
Yeah.
Yeah, so wait, does anyone have a cooldown? Can anyone confirm right now 100% if cooldown skip works on hypers? Because I know that like cooldown reduction in a hat yeah, that's Washington the state, not Washington DC. The cooldown in a hat is works on 5th jobs but not on hypers. Does chance to skip cooldown not work on 5ths but work on hypers? Is it like that? It works on the 0 hyper? Because I'm trying to think. I had it on my DA for a while. For a little bit, because it used to be like super broken there, so you can just get your shields out all the time. I mean, I would just use it for shields. Would I be able to spam my bind, which is a hyper? I don't remember. Let me Google that real quick. Chance to skip cooldown. Because it would be important for us to know. Works on your Pathfinder? On which skill? Five years ago, hyper skills cannot have their duration extended, cooldown reduced, or skipped. This combination is very useful for wild hunters for all the jaguar skills, demon avengers with no shields. Oh yeah, this is actually the advice for. Well, I guess that's one that I'll have to see if I can figure out later. But I don't see why it would be great for Arc.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I mean, if it can reset like hyper skills and stuff, then yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. If during a spell, but I feel like I would know if that was a thing. Because if during Infinity Spell, there's a chance of doing like 2 Endless Agonies or something, like that would be
that'd be
broken
awesome.
as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even just a 20% chance on that, yeah. And then the off chance that it happens like 3 or 4 times, you're just like going ham on
Just a
phase
nuke.
3 Lucid. Yeah, just completely blowing it up. Well, I guess I'll ask around other arcs. Advise you to do the same, see if we can figure that out.
Okay.
Because I don't think they wanted to like spam Abyssal Charge or something, right? Because that's, I mean, that's nice, but it's not that good. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so that doesn't clear up the invulnerability just yet. Well, a little bit, but it just makes one of the outs a little bit more questionable. But you can have a lot of outs like that. So I would advise to just get better with Scarlet Drive forehead. Get in the habit of rolling into that better. And just throwing it in. Yeah, when you're mobbing, you probably just have it in your rotation and you're dashing it every now and then anyway, just to get forward when you're coming out of your flash jump or something. But during bosses, yeah, try to find moments when you can squeeze it in for Seavel. Usually when he comes like right up, I'll use it immediately to dash towards him, but like a little bit after he comes up, of course. Don't dash too quickly. And then before the first tail even announces itself. Or I'll use it in the end to dash away from him, but like, because you don't want to be on top of him if he goes back underground, right? If you just shot fireballs, for example, because then he pushes you away. But then if you use the Scarlet Drive instead to get away from him, but you're just like touching him on the side, then you build up the charge while you're also moving away. I think that's usually when I use it. Either, forward or backward.
Have to teach myself.
And as the boss fights get shorter, you know, as long as you have it in the beginning, you basically just like mow them down, and then you don't even have to refresh it anymore. You just refresh it for, like, you refresh it on the imps as you're moving through the garden for the next boss, sort of like that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yep. All 3 other doors are pretty much that way.
Yep. Okay. Notice that you have. Is it okay? Because all the other stuff looks fine. So you have nothing in critical rate in your hyper stats. That's an option that we can think about if that's necessary as well, right?
Yeah, I just respect. I watched one of your videos, and then I used your calculator. And then that's part of the reason, because once I rolled that invulnerability, I was like, okay, I can respect this. And then I used the calculator, and that's what it gave me for most optimized toward bossing.
Right. Because if you, yeah, okay. Because if you have, we are quite boss heavy, burst heavy, right? So a skill like the Cadena Link skill could also do very well, but I don't know how that works into the calculator, because that's kind of tricky to simulate, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're thinking something like, well, you still have Keen Edge that we can work with, and maybe Tide of Battle, which are a little bit more difficult to keep up at 100% rate. But you want to look at something like the Cadena Link, for example, as another burst skill for us to pop. One for the list, but that will add a lot of damage to all of the skills that we're popping right after. And when
The
you're looking
Cadena is the 6%.
sorry, I meant the
damage.
Angelic Buster. My bad.
Angelic Buster. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm working on that. I just started leveling her up. She's 100.
Okay.
I want to get that one up.
Because one of the options could be if you're redoing the hyperstats a little bit and take a little bit out of everything. If you get crit rate to 10, that's the equivalent of the Phantom Link, and then you can just completely swap that one out. Then you're just swapping out 15 for 15.
How much crit does the drive give? Doesn't it give 20?
Yeah, it gives 20, but if you work out the invulnerability, then that will be the 20 there that disappears, right?
Yeah.
So with switching the invulnerability and getting harder on the drive, and then adding the hyperstat points while taking some out of other stuff, that would allow you also to switch out the Phantom Instinct. So those are like options to move around your crit.
Yeah, and then Legion if necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to try to avoid Legion and focus on crit damage, boss damage, and IED if I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way to think about it though is like, let's say if you don't want to get your crit in hyperstats to 10, but you get it like to 8 instead, which is a lot of points, right? That's like 65 points difference. If you put one block of 4 in your Legion grid in crit instead, that gives you 65 points to work with in your hyperstats. So at that point, that gives very high value to just one block in your Legion. So so especially for those higher levels, or maybe just maybe you get it to 9, for example. You save those 35 points, and then you one piece just 2 of their blocks just stick into critical rate, just so you can have that 100%, something like that. Or you make sure that the marksman and the Night Lord are in there. Do you have both of those?
Marksman. I do. For Legion pieces, I do have them.
Yep. And they're both on your board, right?
Yep.
I see a bunch of thieves and archers in there. Okay. Yep. The other thing is the Beasthammer Link. If that ever goes to 210, I don't know how much you enjoyed that class.
I despised it.
Okay, so that's not happening. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe a terror burn somewhere.
I'm like, that's 3%. That could, 3% boss, 3% crit. But I'm like, I don't want to play it.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually like right around the time I quit, because I made that, and
that was part of the.
It was a burning character, and I was just I did not care for it. I didn't really understand like the tree, its skill tree and stuff. So it was frustrating.
I see. Cooldown skip does work on hypers. You tested it on your Adele, and it skipped your shield. Wow. Okay. If you can do. Okay. So if you're feeling lucky, if you want to gamble it, you can do multiple. Yeah. So that's why it's good then, I guess.
That makes sense then, because if it does, that's really disgusting for Arc, in my opinion.
Yeah, if you can do 2 of those during a bullet, that's during a spell bullet, that's crazy. It's a lot of our DPSs. Those are a lot of orbs flying around for sure.
Yeah, just a lot of chances. Reset.
Yep. Okay, I prefer to go for the more reliable stuff, but yeah. If it does work, then since we don't need too much other stuff, and the other thing would probably be like 20% boss, and our total damage is already crazy once you start rolling. Once you get the ball rolling, I mean, you get so much total damage already that the 20% boss probably isn't as good, and then that's why the 1+1 for all the passives ends up being good. But yeah, I can see why the 20% cooldown skip would be like up there as well. Okay, yeah, so that's kind of up to you if you just want to, you'll know it's an option now, right? You know why it's an option, so once you start rolling, you can decide for yourself, like, okay, do I want to roll into this? Do I not? Do you want to roll into it temporarily? It's not there forever, so you can still, you can always make changes later.
Yeah, I'll probably invest in circulators and maybe even the event. I think there's some in the event shop at the moment.
I think so, yeah. Saves you 18 mil. Make sure that you, wow, Duxie logged in. That guy hasn't logged in like 4 years. The other thing is, was gonna say, oh yeah, I was gonna check my links. Have you checked the Explorer Mages out? That one's pretty good.
I have a priest.
Mm-hmm.
What I watched one of your arc progression videos, a few minutes of it,
Mm-hmm.
and you had said that I think the Cadena link is the one that gives you 6% if they're 6% damage upon debuffing as well as like level.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that since arcs don't have a debuff, by using the mage one, you debuff it, which increases your damage 6%.
Exactly. Yeah.
So because you said that, I started using the mage one for bossing,
Mm-hmm.
but I only have one mage made. I only have the priest. So
I see.
and that was another terrible grind.
Yeah, not your thing.
Yeah.
It's a little bit better now because you don't have to. I mean, I guess it was okay before, but like if you use Genesis, you don't have to charge your thing, your blast
Big
anymore.
Bang.
Your Big Bang, yeah. But
Yeah.
now you don't even have to use Genesis at all anymore. You just spam Big Bang. So
Yeah.
one thing is Noble Fire is good if you're team bossing. If you're solo bossing, it's not that good.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty low. So other options, let's see, would be the Empirical Knowledge. You're using the crit ones. You're using Fury Unleashed, Light Wash, Hybrid Logic. Are you using Wild Rage? Yeah, you are. Okay. Yeah, so the Angelic Buster, you're working on that one. You have Judgment and Unfair Advantage. See that you're not using Spirit of Freedom here.
What is that?
That is the one that gives you invincibility for X seconds after you died.
Oh yeah, so I have that. Should I use it?
So certain, if you know for sure, like for CRA, that you're just gonna run in and just dumpster them, then a little bit of extra damage will just make that even faster, and kind of guarantee that. But like for example, if something goes wrong on Helix and you die, a lot of times when you respawn, he just instantly does another thing that kills you again, and then you're in like this cycle of death. Whereas if you have the Spirit of Freedom on, you could just walk to the left, walk out, and then just calm down, regroup, and make sure that you have another shot. Lotus and Demon also are just bosses where you're going to die more, and having Spirit of Freedom out for those I think is very useful. And then that utility will definitely overpower the damage from something like Keen Edge or something can definitely be replaced.
That's a resistance link, right?
Yes, all the 4 resistance characters have one of each, yeah.
Yeah, so I think I have 3 of the 4.
Okay. All at 120 at least, so that means you'll already have 6 seconds if you equip it. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good. Okay.
Because I originally did it for the is it Wild Hunter? Wild Hunter has like a good Legion piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, decent Legion piece, and and also has it. Yeah. And then Mechanic is kind of the same. Also has the buff duration, plus also has that link, so that one's also pretty nice. And then you probably have the Blaster as well, because it has the IED, and then not have the Mage yet, I'm guessing.
I think I have the Battle Mage, Wild Hunter, and Blaster. I don't have Mechanic.
Okay. Mechanic also has buff duration, so that helps you leaving your spell bullets up a little bit longer, the buffs from the spell bullets, so you don't have to refresh it as often.
Okay.
So
I'll look into making that.
Yep. Okay. That's also not a crowd favorite, just to warn you.
Yeah, I made like an Excel sheet of ones that I don't like want to grind, so whenever they have like a burning event,
right,
I'd make sure to pick them.
Pick one from the list. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Like I think it's funny when people burn like Adele's. I'm like, that is like the most fun character to grind right now. Like I would not even waste it on that.
I get that if someone only plays seasonally and just plays for like a month or like 6 weeks and then doesn't come back for a while, and they
wants to try a new character.
Yeah, and wants to try a new character, wants to level fast, just get to like a decent place where they can get pretty strong quickly, and they don't have the aspirations to build a legion for the coming 3 years, then I totally get it. But yeah, as general advice, I feel like a burn on an Adele is a waste, is at the least I would say. So terms and condition, then empirical knowledge. Yeah, so there's like 2 others that you can go into later, or at least one other would be like the Thief's Cunning is still decently good, I would say. So the Thief Explorer link, but that's mainly once you roll out of the excuse me, out of the crit ones.
And what does that link do again?
It basically does the same as it just, well, it's when you debuff something, you gain, what is it, 18% damage I think for 10 seconds, and then it can trigger every 20 seconds.
Oh, so okay, so that stacks with Cadena and the mage one.
Yeah, with the mage one, and then because of and because we're more burst heavy, it's better to have 18% for short duration when you're using something bursty, rather than having 10% of elementalism all around. Whereas if you look at having 10% always or 18%, 50% of the time, that's technically a little bit lower, right? So for someone who's more DPM oriented and always kind of does the same damage, elementalism might be a little bit better. But in general, elementalism is the one that gets swapped out by the Explorer Mage, because it's just like objectively better, because it's like 9% damage and 9 IED versus 10% damage. So that's always a switch you make.
Oh, okay. So like I have to make mages. Great.
Yep. Great. It's gonna be so much fun. You finally get to use those blue Monster Park potions you've been holding on to.
Yeah, don't have anything.
Finally something to use those on. Okay, yeah. You know, it's yeah, it could be like pulling teeth. I think Ice Lightning is okay. I thought Bishop wasn't too bad. Like all of the Holy Symbol gives you a lot of extra experience. I'm guessing that Fire Poison is probably going to be the worst for you. That's the one that's like the least fun for most people out of the mages.
Yeah, I'm not a really big mage person.
Yeah, same. The telecasting in general. Teleportation has gotten way better under Awake, though, for me. I don't know if it was already pretty good for you because of ping and everything. But the teleport speeding up does make it a lot better, in my opinion.
The character I did like teleport is Kana, says Kana, you have like freedom to like jump telly and bridge gaps and stuff. And I don't know of any other character that's like that, but
you can jump tele on the Explorer mages, but the range isn't as far.
That's what it is then.
Yeah, you can. What you can is like jump on a rope and then teleport up from the rope as long as you're in range. Or what you can do is like you can down jump from a platform and then just spam the down teleport, so that as soon as it's within range, they will automatically smack down. But the range itself is a little bit shorter. I think only Ice Lightning has a hyper skill that allows you to extend the range of the teleport a little bit, and that helps a little bit with getting around. But yeah, in general, it's telecasting all the way. All right, but for okay, so Link skill wise and Legion wise, that kind of sets everything up, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and set wise, talked about inner-ability. Matrix wise, have you looked into decent combat orders instead of the advanced blessing?
Is that good for me? I didn't know if it was good for me.
So it's both, I would say both speed infusion to hit the max attack speed cap, and decent combat orders would both be very good, I think. So I can show you for me on the screen. So if you use decent combat orders, you can see what happens. So all of my skills in 4th gen.
I have speed infusion on my glove, so I don't use it in the beam.
Right, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the Endless Nightmare now does 443% damage, which I think comes from 440, I believe, at level 30. So it's just 3% more, but it's the 3% base, right? So all of the final damage multiplies that as well.
Oh, okay.
Abyssal does a little bit more damage, and then the boss damage goes up to 31%, so that means that during your burst you'll have 2% more boss damage. Blissful Restraint I think just does a little bit more damage, that's nothing. Your Maple Warrior does 1% more, so that's 1% strength. You get 1% more mastery, 1 attack, and 1% critical damage from Knuckle Expert. And then I'll go down here first. You get 1% more final damage from Battle Frenzy. You get 1 more attack power, 1 more crit rate, so that's where 1 more comes from as well. 1 more IED, 1 more boss damage on Complete Fusion, and then all of your empowerments of all of your previous skills, all of these also gain like 3%, I believe.
Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, and this is also why all the passives plus 1 inner ability why that one is pretty high up, because all of these are like all of these here are all passives, and that all gain another, and it stacks with combat orders for up to level 32.
Okay.
So that's the more reliable one, and then the 20% cooldown is the more gambly one, basically.
Is there like that line that you get on your hat for a legendary line where it adds like 3 skill points? Would that affect this as well?
That does not make it go over the max. So that's like soft. That gets blocked by soft cap.
Also, 30 or 20, 10, whatever that is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would stop there. Yeah. The only classes that's really good for is for beast tamers, for example, because they have so many skills. They can just spec, below max for them, and then use that and some other stuff, some magic with the. Maybe you saw the beast tamer progression that we did. We kind of like puzzling with the plus skill levels, and then you can get up to +5, which basically means, if you have 50 skills, which they have, you get like 250 skill points for free, basically. And then you can start speccing into all of the animals. And then, do some crazy stuff. But yeah, no, it's like a soft cap, basically. So I would consider switching out this one for decent combat orders. You already have it. If you're bossing, the burst of the Goddess Blessing is really good. It's a lot of weapon attack. It gets even better the better your weapon gets, right? Because I believe it scales as well with your weapon base attack.
Could you explain? Somebody had told me in my guild that the will skill is like really broken. Could you explain to me why it's broken?
It's just super strong. It for everyone, once you have like enough slots for everyone, it ends up in your matrix. It just does a stupid amount. Like the explosion is just stupid strong, and then it stays for very long. I believe it's like 40-second duration at level 1 or something.
It's like a summon afterwards, or?
Yeah. So it like it leaves the eye on the map, and then becomes a summon. If it hits the same target for a while, for like a certain amount of time, I believe it closes for a little bit. But it only closes for like a few seconds and then opens up again. And it just does an insane amount of lines. It just fills the whole map with lines. And it just becomes an integral part of everyone's burst, basically, as a result, because it is so strong. And that's also why a lot of people end up using the experience nodes to level it up, because, all the other nodes, you can just make nodes or get nodes for it. And then the only way to level this one up is by getting more of the nodes from killing a hard will, which is, of course, doesn't start happening until pretty far into the game.
Yeah.
So the explosion is 1650.
Put that into like my bossing nodes too?
Yeah, we can kind of look at what you have room for. You do want to keep the crit. Like the holy symbol can get bumped for a little bit, and just come back.
Yeah, exactly.
What level is the Goddess Blessing right now? Is it like level 5? Is that what I see?
I think so. Let me see.
It's kind of hard to see the number, but I think that's a 3. That's a 4. I believe it's a.
Goddess Blessing is 5. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're only quote unquote using Fafnir, right? Which means since it scales off of the base attack of Fafnir, which is actually really low. It's kind of ridiculous how low the knuckle attack is. I guess it would be better to use the Arachnid Reflection and then and decent combat orders instead of Blessing and Holy Symbol. I would do.
Holy Symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So rip.
Yeah, I usually swap Holy Symbol for one of the other skills. I never know which one's more optimal.
Yeah. Do you know what Conversion Overdrive does? I talked about it in the other session as well. It's a little bit of a confusing skill.
I don't know what it does. I know that I'm supposed to use it, so that's usually what I put in, but I don't understand it. Something about your mana has to be used at a certain rate or something like that.
Yeah, so when you activate it, you get a percentage damage, and I think if it's max, it's like 60% damage or something, which is just pretty big. But it does go up as you level, so it starts off only at like 20%. But it gives you a percent damage scaled to how full your MP bar is. So if your MP bar is half full, it only gives you half the buff. And then every now and then there's an explosion that goes off, just doing a bunch of damage. And whenever an explosion goes off, it refreshes the percentage damage buff based on how much MP you have at that time. So you just if you like completely run out of mana and it explodes, the damage buff from it like goes down almost to 0 for a little bit.
So you just want to be full mana the whole time.
Yeah, basically that, and the explosion is like AoE around you, so it's like it becomes kind of useful for mobbing during Flora form, because once you get later into the game, and you're probably at that point now, you don't really buff your Spectre form because it's already like crashing the whole map, and then during your Flora form is where you kind of like buff it, so you can alternate between the spell. Why am I forgetting? Why am I like derping on the name of the skill?
Trust me, I don't know.
Infinity spell, yeah. Dude, there's so many skill names in my head right now.
You're like Abyssal, I'm like, okay, Abyssal, which one's Abyssal?
Yeah, and anime PTSD. I'll refer to it as like, people know it as that. Yeah, when you're using Infinity spell, and then the next time you go into Flora, it's probably still on cooldown. So then you could use Conversion Overdrive, for example, to give like a little bit more pizzazz to your Flora form, so you don't really lose a lot of damage in the rotation. And you could use also the True Arachnid Reflection then when you're mobbing for the rotation, if you want, as like a summon that corns off part of the map and kills monsters very quickly.
So I misunderstood it. I stopped using it because I thought it was it did more damage the less mana you had. Now that I know it's better with full mana, because I had like my pet would heal me, and I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm doing this right.
Oh,
but
I see.
Now I get it. Now I understand. I'll put that into. I can afford to buy that next slot too, so I can put that in with combat orders, and then probably will skill.
Yeah, you're at 235 now.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say if you're like close to another slot, then yeah, it is
usually when I'm not really grinding too much on this character. Like I said, I do Legion, and then I like Kana farm sometimes to make some mesos. But I'm focusing on getting his gear up, and then I'll probably start grinding him again.
Yeah, I assumed because you said you have a Kana farmer and you already have level 6 as Farah, but you're still level 235. I assume that you kind of like took a little bit of a break from grinding on this guy.
Yeah.
Which was like confirmed by the fact that you were like, well, the inner-ability and everything, like you don't necessarily want the Mesoptane and the drop rate there because you have the Kana right there. All of those pieces kind of fell together for me. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not a bad idea to just like max out the slots because we have so many useful skills. The problem is you want to make sure that if you use all of them, then you want to make sure that when you're bossing that you remember to press all of them and in the right order, so you actually get to get the value back from them basically.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty good, especially with like the dice, because I think the 5 roll is the damage roll. So I have the dice itself on 4, and then I do 5 again for another skill, and I go along 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, and then the so many.
Yeah, wait. So do you have the loaded dice and the dice roll on a skill? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some people are like, well, why would I take loaded dice? I don't even have the dice skill. It's like, no, you get both. Like, oh.
Yeah, it's really good. I didn't realize that it was. I'm assuming that's like a pirate only skill.
Yeah, it's for all pirates.
Telling my buddy about it, and he's like, I don't have that in my V Matrix, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. It's like 20% damage if you roll the 5. It's extra XP if you're training.
XP, yeah, exactly. So it's really good.
And some people also use it if they need the crit, right? If they're like intermediate and their crit dips from something, then you can use it as like a backup.
Yeah.
So nice versatile skill. And because you have the loaded, right? Without the loading, it's kind of horrible. It's very unreliable.
Yeah, seriously.
You want to roll that double 2 and be like, yay, more, what is it, HP or defense?
Yeah. But it's interesting concept to like, because it doubles what it gives you, right? Whatever it lands on. If you do
if you have 2 of them,
like if you don't select it, isn't it like, or I don't remember, because I made another pirate, a buccaneer or something, and I think he had the skill. And
they have so they have the 3rd job and the 4th job and the 5th job. So 3rd job is the roll, and then 4th job is the upgrade that gives them 50% chance to roll a 2nd die.
Yeah, that one.
And then the 5th one gives you an extra die. So the 3rd job and the 5th one always roll, and then there's a 50% chance that you get the 4th job roll as well. But then the 4th job, I think, doubles the roll of the one from 3rd job.
Okay, so that's what it is then.
I think, yeah. And then because that's double down, and if you roll a 1, then the cooldown goes down, right? So you can use it more quickly. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, there's some, but yeah, loaded dice is really good. You end up rolling like 5, 5, 4 or something, and then yeah, you get those damage in. I think if you roll, yeah, they decrease the chance of rolling 3 of the same dice. Because I think at 5, 5, 5, I think you got like 40 or 50% damage increase or something. It was pretty broken.
Yeah, it's pretty broken.
Okay, but that kind of clears up the matrix, right? I mean, everything else looks like it's going well. You definitely have like still a lot of potential gains to be made, right, from the Legion grid. So that's nice. Means more room for growth without having to necessarily upgrade your.
Skill wise, do you think I have the right skills?
Oh wait, I think you have 3 of one. Wait, you have 4 of one skill. Hang on, no, so you're not ready yet. Let's see. Right, because I think you have impending death 4 times now to max it out early, which does mean that you have to switch around the stat. You end up with 5 nodes, so that's fine. So I would look out. Yeah, because you're at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. I think if you combine it, your impending death is probably at level 80 or something now, right? Which means that if you switch one around, you could gain 24% final damage on another skill.
Yeah. That's it. Because I haven't really focused on it too much. I've been more picky with my Kana because I gave it a lot more of my time. This one, it was like my first time coming back into the game and figuring it out. So I haven't sat down and decided like what's over leveled or not.
So the 2 on the right side of the top row, those are the same skills with just the impending death and the endless dream switched around, right?
Yeah.
And then the top left one has basic scarlet and endless dream.
I think so.
So that looks like, because it's the same button, right? So you have two impulse.
Yeah, so the top 2 are exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like those ones I should just focus on getting them higher so that makes.
Yeah, those are your for sure. Those are your really, really good ones. The downside with that though is that both of them have basic charge, and then the one that you have on the top left is a basic charge node. That means that you'll eventually have to disassemble that one. So what you could look, but you do want to end up with 5 nodes, and you do want to like keep them all the time. So what you could also look for is any one of them that start with impending death or endless dream that have one of the other skill as a third one. Maybe an abyssal charge, because I think you only have 1 abyssal in total right now.
Okay, so combine this one into that one. I get what you're saying. Combine like an. Okay.
And then and then you use this one, and then you use it as a boost node on the other one. Yeah. So I think the ideal would be if you switch the one all the way in the top right. If you switch the endless dream out there for an abyssal, because you already have the endless dream on the top left one already, and then on the second from the right on the top line. So there's already 2. So you're looking for 2 of everything, and then probably only 1 of scarlet. So right now what you're missing is the blue. You don't have the blue drive at all.
Yeah. I don't.
So if you get the abyssal in there, then you want the blue instead of the other 2 impending deaths, and then you're still 1 off. What are you missing then? Because you have on the bottom left boost node. Is that a basic charge as well?
Yeah, I think that one's overkill. I have unstoppable impulse, so I could probably get rid of that because I have impending death and basic charge on that. I can probably put a gust charge drive with something else in there.
Yeah, it's not too bad because you only have 2 unstoppable. Let me just write it down real quick. So you have 2. This dumb Genesis music background. We have 4 basic right now. You have 3 endless dream, and then
4 impending.
Yeah, impending death. Dude, these skills are so edgy when you really think about them. 1 abyssal, 0 what is it, blue charge? What is this called? Blue drive, whatever.
Gust drive.
Gust drive. Yeah, there he is. You know the skill names. Good job.
Uh,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 unstoppable impulse. So 6 skills is 3 is 18. Oh, 6 2 wait 12. That'd be 4. So we're missing 1 skill. Endless stream.
Abyssal.
No, I have abyssal charge. Oh, Scarlet charge, yeah. And you have 1 Scarlet charge. Okay. So this one is fine. This one is fine. So this one needs +2. This one +1. This one -2. This one is -1, and then this one is -2. Nani? But you have 5 and you need 5. Wait, 7 to 14. How's my brain this rotten? Hang on. Just something's not making sense because we have the same amount, but then there's a -5 and +3. So there's still like a skill missing or something in my brain. Oh, yes. You're missing Creeping Terror.
Oh, that's the one you hold down.
Yeah, but
right?
it boosts Creeping Terror and Blissful Restraint and Endless Agony.
Oh, really? Creeping Terror?
Those are
I
all.
didn't know that was boostable. That's really important.
Yeah, those are all 3 together. Yes, that will give you huge more boosts. That combined with the boost plus the Infinity Spell. Yes.
Oh wow.
Right.
So I need to do. Okay.
So you can keep the same nodes you have now because they're all like level 12, 14, 16, right? So you do want to keep the same ones, but it basically means that for a while, instead of just throwing them on and leveling what you have now, you want to keep everything for a while and come up with the new sets.
Okay.
So
and then combine the old ones into the new one.
Yeah. So the one I think you can completely keep is the one that's now the second from the right on the top row. That one I think you can completely keep. And the one on the right of that, you want to add another skill instead of Endless Dream. So that can be either Abyssal. So anything that has a plus here, right? It can be either Abyssal, either Gust Drive, or either Creeping Terror. Any one of them could switch over. But say you find Impending Death and 2 of those, you can switch over as well. That just means that you can keep the normal drive on the Unstoppable Impulse one. But then you still want to switch out on that one, the Impending Death. But basically you just want to start widening your gaze by a lot and just start seeing every one of them as an option, but keep your main 5. So if you open boost nodes and it has, so there's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 skills. Yes, 8 skills that we boost. If it has one of the 3 that you don't have in the as your nodes already, you still extract those, but all the other ones basically are possible tri nodes.
Yeah.
So wait until you tick all the boxes. You're looking for 2 more Creeping Terror, 2 more Gust Drive, and 1 more Abyssal Charge in total. And then you're trying to lose 2 Impending Death, 2 Basic Charge Drives, and 1 Endless Stream. If you succeed in that, your damage will go down a little bit for those 3 skills that you're over right now, because you're kind of compensating and maxing them because of the setup. But you'll see a lot of damage increase for the other ones instead, and mainly for the Creeping Terror and Unstoppable Impulse. That's going to be huge.
Probably much more bursty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, much more bursty. Yeah. All right. Oh, I can just paste this to you, so you don't have to copy that. There you go.
Awesome.
That'll make more sense. All right, that's a good plan. Yeah, because if you look here, then they're at 60. The Impending Death 60 plus 19 because of the slot. Oh yeah, one of your boost node slots is only level 4. I saw, by the way. The last one on the second row.
Oh.
You can see the gold rim is a little bit more thin, so it's probably the next one you want to level up. But that's that's just me. It's just 1 level. Yeah.
I'll just level up one time. I'm at 50%. Maybe I'll force myself to get to. But 236 is such an ugly number.
It's a weird number. Well, I mean, but if you're always 235, then people are like, wow, you just Went to his Sphera and never leveled again, huh? You know, it's like
Literally.
staying 250 forever. People are like, wow, you just completely gave up. You gotta get at least like 251 to show that you still kind of care. It's more like a mental barrier.
I'll use the event growth potion.
Oh yeah, true. Okay, but that gives us a good plan for the matrix. Okay, that gets all of that set up. Okay. Yeah, your legion's still going to be growing, and you know you're going to be moving stuff around, but the general priority I think is fine. Probably a little bit low in the IED, so I want to focus on that. Get the big chunk of IED in, especially if you make the.
How much IED do I need?
Yeah, it's a good question. Kind of depends on what kind of content you're doing, right? So functionally, I think you probably want to go. You want to be at like 90. What is it? 95 functional? Yeah, you want to aim for 95 functional. Do you know how to calculate functional IED?
Kind of.
Kind of. You know how IED works with like the lines and how it counts and how it adds IED when you add a source?
No.
So basically, whatever percentage line you add, it gives you that percent of how much you're still missing to get to 100.
Okay.
It's simple enough, right? You have 90, you add 20%, you gain 2%, because 2% is 20% of the 10%.
Yeah.
But there's also sources that you don't see in your stat window, because your stat window looks at, regardless of what I hit, and regardless of what I hit it with, like which skill, this is how much IED I give you. But, for example, you have one of those passive hypers that gives you extra IED on a bunch of your skills. So if you hit with any of those skills, and those are your main skills that you use, then you will effectively have that extra IED all the time. So you have to kind of add that to what your stat window has to make it effective. And in the same way, if you use the mage link and you debuff the boss, that doesn't show up in your stat window because your stat window doesn't know what you're hitting. But if you're always hitting the boss and it always is debuffed, then effectively you're having 9% extra. So
because all my main attack skills have an extra 20%.
Exactly. Boost nodes is another one of those. Yeah. And then the other one is that during your burst, you'll have another, we have another 20% as well in our abyssal charge, right? That's probably in this screenshot though, I think.
No, you know what? I didn't do that. That's unbuffed.
Yeah. So theoretically we're adding, I think 20, 20, 9, and then another 20 for regular abyssal, and then possibly another 20 for a burst abyssal.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then there's maybe even the chance for another familiar with 15% IED, for example. So at that point, you're good. You're golden. I mean, we could do the maths if you want to, but you're probably ending up at like 97 something. So that probably means that you can take the hyperstats down a little bit, and then put that point into damage instead, and then use the other points with, the points you get from strength and dex, and then throw that into the critical rate so that you can freely roll out of the Phantom Link.
Okay.
You do have the top 3 hyperstats though, I see. So which one do you not have leveled? Because I only have 2 there. Do you have? Do you not have Enhanced Spectre State on?
Let me see. I have Enhanced Spectre. Yeah, I have that.
Do you have the healing or the state? You only have one of those 2, right?
Enhanced Spectre. That's a knockback resistance.
Yeah.
I don't have the healing. Should I have the Spectre healing?
The healing helps you just always. It increases your general uptime of being Inspector, which both for mobbing and for bossing is desirable. So that's a good one to have. Yeah. So, yeah, depending on if you need the IED or the boss damage, usually swap out of one of those 2, whichever one makes sense for your calculations.
Don't make me.
Well, they both don't show up in your stat window, okay? So at least it won't look like the numbers going down. But yeah, you can one of those 2, because the percentage damage always applies, so both for mobbing and for bossing, so that one's the most reliable, and then one of the other 2 should probably go in favor of the Spectre healing.
Okay.
Honestly, I think I don't think it makes a huge difference on which one you choose at this point. I don't think.
So you think that 10% of vector form healing would be better than 20% IED or 20% boss?
Yeah. It brings it. Yeah, you can just be in Spectra more longer for mobbing. You can go into the rotations more. It like lines up more with your cooldowns in your rotations as well.
Mm.
It allows you to like when you're just out of Spectra, then you can still pop Abyssal Recall, just comes back, and then you can just do like one final hurrah in Spectre form, and then stay in it for like 20 plus more seconds afterwards, and then switch over, and then your Infinity spell will come back for Flora, and it like lines up really well.
Okay. All right, I'm doing it.
And if it feels horrible, then you can always roll back. But yeah, I think from everything I've seen, that's like a one that everyone should be rolling into. So familiar wise, do you have another one with IED? Do you just have this up when you're mobbing, or when you're bossing, right?
That's like my mobbing setup for familiars. I do have I have another one. It's only 10% though.
10% IED?
Yeah.
Wait, is that possible? Oh, I didn't even know.
It's like a snail, like a basic snail.
Wait, it has 10% ID. Wait, can you show me a screenshot? I thought there was only 20. I thought there was only 15%
no,
ones.
It's 15.
Oh, it is 15. Okay, yeah, okay.
I have one that's 20% and one that's 15.
Yeah, because the 20 is on Epic, and then the 15 is on Rare or Common, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that could help you out with if you're rolling out of Guard Break. Then the 15% ID from the familiar can patch it up, for example.
So I have 1 point left for my hyper skills. I had it originally in the Swift Creeping Terror that reduces the cooldown by 20%. Should it go in there?
I like that one a lot. It's a map clear for mobbing, and it's a more reliable iframe, shorter cooldown iframe. It goes from 60 to 48 seconds, I think. It's a really, really good cooldown reduction.
That's an iframe?
Creeping Terror is an iframe, yeah.
I did not know that. That's another one. Oh my god.
Yeah, so if you just tap it, you just full map clear, and if you hold it down, you go underground, and then you're invulnerable while you're underground.
I didn't know you could hold it down.
Yeah, and then you can hold it down for up to 5 seconds. It has like it has a variable duration, so you can use it as long as you want.
Oh, it's killing me, and it drains my health while I do it.
Yeah, it gives you it does give you a little bit of damage, but it's like 0.5. What is it? 2% HP per 0.5 second. So if you use it like that, you just stay on the ground, and then you're immune this whole time. And then you come back up with the pop. Yeah, and it's a third job skill. Yeah, it's perfectly normal that you don't see it as that it would be able to do that, because it's a third job skill. It's better than most people's fifth job skills.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. What other iframes do I have then? Because now I know 3.
Wait, well, Abyssal and these are like 2 reliable iframes, and then Scarlet is like a little. Yeah, well, it's more like a teleport. So it's not really an iframe, but it's more like a teleport. So you can use it to dash through the lasers in Lotus, for example.
Yeah, or like Golex's hand.
Yeah, jump and then dash, and then it gives you a big hitbox of being untargetable. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now I have 3. I was only using Abyssal and dash before. I didn't know Creep and Tear. That's gonna help me a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you get inverted with the fire and you have Creeping Terror left, you could just pop into it, and then if the fire is really unreliable though. Sometimes it explodes after 1 second, and sometimes it's like 10 seconds. But if it explodes somewhere in those 5 seconds, you'll just be immune to the explosion, and you can just move on. Yeah. Well, that is a nice epiphany.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's huge. Yeah. That and the flashing up, the up jump. That's gonna help a lot.
Yeah, I think you will get to clearing Helix with these tools, and then the staying on the left side with your terror, and then just bopping out before the potatoes reach the middle. Yeah, and then if you do that twice, that should definitely blow them up. Well, I guess that leaves the equips.
Yep.
Which a lot of times people are like, let's talk about the equips, but a lot of times there's just the equips are like the final thing that kind of ties everything together. It's not usually the main thing. So okay, let's look at what you're able to do. Oh yeah, so you have 8% crit damage and the speed infusion on the gloves. That's nice. What is your weapon secondary and emblem look like? So what were you thinking? Like, what were you thinking? Like, what do you think? Which items do you think are like great for now and don't need any help? And then which other items probably are you not sure about could use some work?
Uh, I'm thinking I gotta get Golux, and then I gotta get Abso. That's pretty much where I'm at. So
Mm-hmm.
Abso, shoulder, weapon, shoe, cape, I think, and then I need
Wait, weapon, shoulder, shoe, cape, and glove, right?
glove. Yeah,
Yep.
and glove.
Yep.
So I'm probably gonna do glove last because I really like that glove roll.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the one I'm keeping. I'm most likely gonna do shoe first because I have 2 coins for each right now, so I can technically buy.
Shoulder
I
and
wanted to,
yeah, and
yeah,
shoe.
I could buy a shoulder and shoe right now if I wanted. So I'm thinking I'm probably gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to get Golix equips and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
the other thing is I have my lines on my emblem and my sub weapon. I want you to look at because I've spent bills on trying to get anything better,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm just gonna stick with them.
Yeah, so we did talk about your IED, and like one big chunk of 40% is huge, of course. What you will find when you add other sources of IED for an arc, you have the ability to go completely without any IED and have enough for endgame. But that doesn't mean that your legion has to be big enough to support like a chunk of 40% in there. All of your links, the Lumi link maxed, like all the other characters, S card in your legion, and then your hyperstats probably have to. I think they end up at like 11 or 12 for IED. But this is like when you're level 250 plus 260, then you do have a lot of points, so you can go above 10 for a few of those. And the familiars, those kind of things. Then you can eventually roll out of IED. So at that point, you could opt for just saving up a bunch and just go full red cube and then completely rolling out of it. But you have to make sure that the other IED is, that's like secured.
Okay. Right now, I'll sit on it then.
Yeah. The secondary, yeah, like functionally, the secondary is only basically a 2-line item right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because the 20% and the 9% damage, that's basically the same value, right? Like damage and damage that just gets thrown into one pile when you're bossing. So it's kind of like
boss damage.
Yeah.
So that's basically like having 30% boss damage.
Essentially. Yeah, exactly. That's how you want to see it. So it's basically a 2 out of 3 line item. What some people do is they just keep this and then they make a Princess No secondary instead, and then you can just freely roll on that without having to risk,
use like red cubes or something.
Yeah, you can just mass red cube, and you don't have to feel like, oh shit, now I have to keep cubing until I get something relevant. Otherwise, you lose out on a lot of chunk of damage. Yeah.
The Princess No prereq, you have to complete like the belt, the ring, and shoulder. Is that how you get that?
Yeah, you do the 3 items, and then there's a follow-up quests to get like a special skill. I think that can do something in the Princess No dungeon, but I've never used it. But there's like a little bit of follow-up after that. You have to find like a graveyard or something that's like somewhere in Mushroom Shrine and stuff. And then you get a special skill. Let's see, I think we get like Vengeance of Mars or something. I don't know what the fuck it's called. Curse of Venus, close enough. It was some planet. And then once you have that skill, then you're able to like queue and go do Princess No, who is kind of bugged right now and sometimes crashes people. So, well, a lot of times crashes people. But if you can get your hand on that secondary, that's it's just a little bit better. And if you're gonna be min-maxing on it anyway, it's probably it's a little bit of a safer way to do it. A little bit more expensive, of course, but it's a little bit of a safer way to do it. So you can just fall back on what you currently have, and then hopefully you can get lucky. And so it's 14 strength and dex and 9 attack instead.
Okay.
Yeah, so probably like midterm plan. Probably not the first thing you do. There's probably more saving money up for the for the Abzo and the Golic stuff, right? The other thing you
Yeah.
want to, so depending on how quickly you're getting the Golics and the Abzo stuff, what you always want to wonder is, because there is an event coming, are you going to just wait until you have the items, Star Force on the items, just safeguard them to 17, or are you going to do some shenanigans with like other level items, pre-star them, transfer them over, something like that? Those are like the two major options that you have.
Absol's 160.
Yep.
So I could technically just transfer hammer my Fafnir into an Absol weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do that, its potential goes down a rank, or
to epic. It goes down to
It
epic
goes
is the highest it can be. Yeah. What you can
goes
do
down.
is you can flame the Abzo beforehand, because the flame does not get overwritten when you transfer hammer. So you can make sure that the Abzo has a nice flame before, and then transfer it over, and then like restar it to 17, and then it'll probably be probably still be like a damage loss, but then then you'll have to repot it. Yeah.
Okay, should I transfer hammer this into that, or should I just use like the event scrolls that are there right now, like the 15 star, the 17 star?
Yeah, there is the 15 and 17. I would use the 15 and 17 rather for something like your shoe and your shoulder. So that you can just safeguard one of them up to 17, and you're just paying for that spot. And then for the 17 star, like that would be ideal for for the other one, because your shoe isn't going to be able to transfer over because it's a tyrant item, right? So those stars can be saved. So if you're just getting those two items, then that would be ideal to put those two in, because you can basically, your weapon is going to be dead weight in your inventory otherwise, but you can basically see your weapon as a 100% EPOT 15 star scroll for your weapon only, basically, is how you can see it.
Yeah.
So that way you can recover some of the invested value.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, probably just aiming for 18. Oh, nice 100 on the hat. That's cool.
Oh, the flame, yeah. Pretty decent one.
Yeah, the other ones are like 20, 16, 16, but then I think it gets saved by a tier 6 flat strength probably. That's like making up for the difference.
Yeah.
I think I got like around the same. My pants I think have the same. They're 100 and then 20, 12, 20. Yeah, it's very, very similar. Funny enough, my Adele pants have the same as my Arc pants, which is kind of feels like I should have something better on my 265 than my character that was like 214 forever, but you know.
Is it better to aim for flat numbers rather than percents?
Usually the combination ends up working in your favor, because I mean, like your outs are either like max attack, max all stat, and a little bit of stat, or like full stat on the other side. Usually you'll roll something in between where it's like a combination of things. But yeah, it's like, do you know about the concept of like flame score and how that works?
I have a decent idea. I know like Eternals get you to a certain number that regulars cannot, and it's like a roll of 1 through 7. I think 7's the highest you can get in each line. And then it can like roll extra into like each line, so like you can get basically three 7s on like a strength roll or something like that. I have that kind of understanding of it.
Yeah, like the best possible outcome would be like tier 7 strength, and then tier 7 strength plus dex, and then tier 7 strength plus intellect or plus luck, and then a tier 7 all stat. That would be like the best theoretical outcome. Basically, what the flame score tries to do is tries to kind of future proof your flame, so you know, because as you keep leveling, how many stats you have of everything kind of shifts, right? As your star forcing goes up, as your tiers of your equips go up, and your potential goes up in stats and everything. Reliably, when you're at different stages, like you're at CRA, you're at Lotus at Damien, you're at Lucid at Will, your equips are going to look a certain way, and that means that your balance between how much stat you have, how much percentage stat you have, how much attack you have, and how much percentage attack you have, that's also going to shift according to where you are. For example, if you go past 15 stars, you'll see way more weapon attack on your equip sets, right? Because of star forcing. So because that balance changes, what the flame score tries to do is it tries to predict if you have a flame at any given moment based on where in the game you're aiming for. It'll tell you this is how good that flame is going to end up being once you get funded enough for that part of the game, basically. And then by looking at that and by looking at what that score is and comparing it to, if you see my progression grid, right, where we looked at the IED, what you're aiming for.
Yeah.
So it also looks at like the flame scores, what kind of flame score you'll be aiming for. So for example, for your hat is a pretty clean, clear-cut example. Well, maybe not this particular eye, but like, so there's like a calculator that you can use for it, but basically strength counts for 1. So you're basically redirecting everything that gives you any kind of damage to your main stat, and then that's going to be your flame score. But like I said, the balance is going to be a little bit different. So your secondary stat dex, for example, in the beginning is comparatively a little bit more valuable because in the beginning you'll have more percentage all stat that will also get boosted by it. Later, when you're more min-maxing your gear, you'll be looking at more just percentage strength, so then the value out of dex goes away a little bit. Attack is more valuable early on because your total amount of attack is not as big, but then later on in the game, once you get Star Forcing very high up, you'll get so much attack on everything that attack on a flame comparatively has a little bit of a lower value. And then percentage all stat as you go is always really good. Very early on, it's insanely good because if like before you really have any kind of potential or you have like a few 3% lines anywhere, if you roll a 6% on a flame, it'll be really, really good. But it can be very deceiving if you just look at how much range an item gives, because then you're only looking at that specific moment right then. You're not looking into the future, like is it gonna stay good once your balance of your stats shifts. So all stat is in the beginning is super good. Then once you start getting everything epic and unique, then it goes down. And then eventually it scales well into the end game because of how much stat you get from high Star Force. And once you start min-maxing all your flames, then percentage all stat starts scaling better again. So it's all represented by certain values depending on what class you are and depending on where in the game you are. So if you're wondering, you could check !flames. There's a calculator that someone from my community made based on the scores that I've kind of observed and looked into. I'll link it to you here. And you can use that to check what the flame score is. And then you can use the progression grid to see what is the flame score I'm aiming for. And therefore you can know like, okay, this item is good. This one's where I want it, or this one needs a little bit more work.
Can you show me the example? An example?
Sure.
With my hat for the sample.
So you're a base strength class, right?
Yep.
So we have 100 strength. We have 12 dex. So it's 100. And we are going to be in late game. That's what we're aiming for. Up to 250. So it says 101.5. So if you want to, you can clear and you can save it here. And then you can put CRA hat like that. So now you know it's 101.5. Then we look at the progression grid. So we're looking for late game. We look down. It's an item with flame advantage. Do you know about the difference between advantage or no flame advantage?
It used to be called like boss flames, but it's not.
Exactly.
It's like not a good term for it. But certain items can get higher flames, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so it's the higher flame. So it's the tiers that you talked about before. The tiers are limited for item without flame advantage, and also items without flame advantage could get between 1 and 4 lines of boosts, whereas items with flame advantage always get 4. So you'll see those huge numbers, and certain numbers that you see on flame advantage can physically just never appear on items without flame advantage. So CRA is flame advantage and is on the higher end. It's not the highest end because this is like the Abzo stuff, right? Which gets within the same tiers as CRA, gets slightly higher numbers because they're level 160 versus 150. So you're going to be aiming for like around 95 basically. So if you look back and you have 101.5 and you're aiming for like around 95, so this one is over that. So this one is really good. So that's definitely one you don't touch.
Okay.
So that way you can do that with all the items. If you do it for the top, for example, that one has 6% all stat. So we could just go back up and we just add 6% all stat. So that one's at 51. So we can save that one here if you want. You could do CRA top. So you can see that if you would get a similar flame on the top as you got on your hat, that you would gain 50 dex, 50 strength value basically.
Okay.
But yeah, but you also know that this is probably an unrealistic goal and that aiming for something like 90 or something, once you get to like 250, 90 to 95 is more of a realistic goal.
Okay.
So that way you can tell like what is the amount of growth that every item still has that they can realistically achieve, and then based on the that goal, that should kind of be your priority in how do you flame them.
Okay.
And then way above everything is probably your weapon. That's why it's mentioned here separately as well, because the weapon works differently. Have you looked into flame tiers for weapons before?
Not really.
So the main reason why the weapons are very different is because it doesn't give you flat numbers the way that flames do based on your level, but it gives you a percentage of your base weapon or magic attack on your item. So the higher you go, the better it scales. And the tier 6, I don't know the exact percentages, but so it's mainly once you start getting the Abzo, right? Because before that, our base weapon attack is very bad. But this way you can check what tier the flame is, for example. So you have 128 base, and it's a level 150 item, and it has flame advantage because it's Fafnir. So then you can see that the flame score should be around 41. But I think you had a... Did you have a 42? Did I say it correct? Oh no, 41. Yeah, see? So you know it's a tier 6. Which is the highest that you can get with the powerful flame, and the second highest with eternal flame. So that's... and then again, we can go back to the progression grid, right? So that's what you want when you're in the beginning of the late game, is like the tier 6 right there.
So that's good. Like,
yeah.
Decent.
So once you go to Abzo, you want to get at least again the tier 6 or the tier 6 plus, and the plus basically means like any of the stats that you can get on top of that. So percentage damage, percentage boss damage, and percentage all stat. And because you know that damage, boss damage and damage is equivalent, right? When you're bossing.
Yeah.
Typically people go for boss damage because when it comes to flames, the boss damage per line is doubled versus damage. Damage is just tier 1 is 1, tier 2 is 2, tier 3 is 3, etc. But for boss damages, tier 1 is 2, tier 2 is 4, tier 3 is 6, so it's 2% per level. So if you hit the tier 5, you get 10% boss versus 5% damage if they're both tier 5. I didn't skip over anything, right? But yeah, I have a YouTube flame video as well that kind of goes through everything, also with examples, and goes through the calculator and everything. So if you want to make sure you double check that again in your own time to make sure that you get it, you can check that. And they'll basically help you figure out for any flame you find on any item, whether it's good, whether it's bad, and how good and how bad it is.
No, that was helpful. The samples with my equips was helpful enough for me to understand.
Okay, good. Yeah. So in the beginning, you might have to use the calculator to know exactly, especially when it's a little bit of strength, a little bit of attack, a little bit of all stat. But after a while, you kind of like it's kind of like with the Matrix, right? You don't see the numbers, you just see blonde, brunette, redhead, right? You kind of see like, okay, this one is good enough, or this one is like absolute shit compared to everything else. And then once they're all kind of close together up there, then you can like min max and see like, okay, this one has like 3 flame score more than the other one. This one is 1.5 lower. But like in the case of your top and your hat, you can very clearly see like, okay, there's a big discrepancy here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that gets us through all of these because we're around our 1.5 hours, so I don't want to keep you too long either. So the accessories, I think all the other stuff is good enough to just keep until you switch it over to the Abzo and to the Superior.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I didn't want to put anything else into them because I figured I'd need to just get rid of them.
Yep. I'll keep the pants unique for quite a long time probably, because what are you going to get once you get it to legendary? You're probably going to get 21 anyway, so why spend the money?
Yeah, that one's probably staying there for the lifetime of this account.
Yeah, it's very, very, very possible. Yeah, for the Iron Face, you can basically once you reliably start going past 15 on everything, you can start thinking about switching it out for the tattoo and a monocle, because that's these items don't have the capacity to go past 15. But the other ones do, and that's when you start getting a lot of stat and weapon attack. So that's when switching them over is worth breaking up the set bonus, because at the same time the earring is going to go away, the shoulder is going to go away, right? So the whole set kind of starts falling apart. The only thing people typically rely on still is the badge, the cup, and then the probably either a Mechanator or a Dominator pendant, and that'll just be like your 3 set. You can hold on to the belt, of course, until you find the superior. But that's a direct transfer hammer, so that's a really nice one as well.
Oh, is it gonna keep that epic line that I have on there too?
Yeah, it'll keep exactly the same potential. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Sadly, it won't keep the flame because that's also a really nice one for
Yeah.
for Gold Clover. It won't keep the flame, but it will keep the other stuff. Yeah. So yeah, if you transfer it like this, it'll immediately become like a 15-star or 12% dex. Then all
Okay,
you
cool. I
gotta do.
didn't even think about that. That's awesome.
Yep. So what some people do, if you want to eventually go past 17 or something, is just get a bunch of backup Golden Clover belts, so you can just go mass Star Forcing and then transfer it over. Ideally, you don't want to go through the transfer process for every single star you could possibly gain, because it gets financially pretty inefficient, and you have to redo the potential every time. But what some people do is the first belt they will go to 17 on. And then build a bunch of backups, and then if you want to make a huge gain, then try to go for 20 or 21, then transfer over, and then then it's worth having to redo your potential basically.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get like 8 backup belts and just roll on the belt. But if you do, then you can do that as well. I mean, that'll save you money in general, and then you won't have to redo your potential. So.
Okay. One question.
Sure.
For my face and eye, people have talked about transposing, like other.
Yeah. So there's the Papulatus mark that can
Yeah.
drop from CPAP, but it's very, very rare. If you do get it, so for transposing, the ideal position is having it at 16 star and then having a flame score. There comes the flame score again. Between 105 and 115. So you're basically aiming for like that score that we were talking about, like with your hat, a little bit higher than that even. Because once you transpose, it's the item get like stuck onto the other item, and then you can't re-roll it ever because the item you roll into doesn't have flame advantage, the monocle. So if you were to ever reflame it, you would ruin like a really good flame. So that's why we aim really high on that, because once it's done, it's done. You're not gonna, and you're probably not gonna get another Papulatus mark for another chance either. So the Papulatus, that would transpose into the monocle if you can, but that's not really something you're going to realistically hold out for. And while you're working your way up to CPAP and everything, actually, are you able to do CPAP? Because that's probably should be doable.
I struggle with it, the mechanics of it, but I can.
Well, now you have another iframe.
Yeah, I know. Now I have. Yeah, and I'll watch some videos of how people fight it.
Mm-hmm.
I think
video?
you have. I think you have one on an arc specifically.
Or
maybe it's a hero or something.
I did it on the hero a while ago. That was with the old platforms, and I recorded a new one with the Adele. And the Adele is a lot weaker, lower level, so the run is quite long. So you can see a lot of the situations that you could be in, and I try to analyze all the situations and be like, okay, where can I move here? Why am I moving here? What are the the things I'm going through in my mind when I'm hopping around?
Okay. So the transposing, I shouldn't even worry about.
No,
I should just
no.
focus on getting the monocle and the scar.
Yeah, exactly. You get those two at least to 17 anyway. And then if you transpose later, then that's a problem, because you'll be flaming for a long time. You'll be starting up to 16 before, and at that point you can go into that. The other thing that some people transpose is a Dominator pendant into the Sweetwater pendant, and that's basically to round out the whole set. That's once you have the full superior and everything 17 and such.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's around the same point when some people start talking about like Meister rings to fill out the ring slots.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's like hyper endgame.
That's well, that would be, I guess, according to the grid, that would probably be when you're like trying to round out the late game. But I have like 4 stages, right? So late game and then end game is late game would be like everything 17 star basically. Every single thing, and like 2 or 2.5 line legendary, and that's like at the point where you can where you so solo Damien and Lotus, party Lucid and Will. That's what you're working towards, right? That's like halfway through there, so you're like right on schedule. And then once you get to 250, that'll be easy, and then you're looking for parties for Hard Damien, Hard Lucid, Hard Lotus, Hard Will, basically for those bosses.
Okay.
But yeah, that'll probably be the last jump to get like all the accessories, all of it up to legendary. You know, whichever one has the, and you kind of look at the same thing as flame scores, right? Like whatever has the most room for growth, those ones go up first. You know, like your chaos ring is probably going to be one of the later ones because it's already so high up. So
Yeah.
yeah. So during 5, 10, 15, you've got your work cut out for you.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to rush and
Mm-hmm.
get, and then I learned that you can transfer essences from other characters. So I've been just pumping my arc full of everybody else's
Yep. Yep.
essences, so I can use. I want to use the scrolls and then the 5, 10, 15 advantage on those items.
Yep. Exactly. And you're on schedule for those. Like you're working on the clears. Like those are just the
I
solo clears you're gonna do, or.
Yeah, I need the boss clears now,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much. I have enough for two right now, and then I will have enough for two tomorrow or today actually, later
Mm-hmm.
on today, and
Okay.
then I just need the clears again, and then the last thing will be the weapon. But since I can transfer hammer that,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just work slowly towards that.
Yep. Yep. Sounds good. Yeah. The main thing is gonna be like good flame on the weapon, and then once you have it transferred, then just redoing the potential. But the flame will be really nice because the base attack finally starts. Finally starts coming in. Because what is Fafnir is 128, and then dude, I get like every week I get an Abzo Knuckle just as a drop because of doing hard Lucid and hard Will. It's so crazy. This one is
Oh, it
150.
drops those.
Yeah,
I
the
didn't know
hard
it
bosses
drops
can
the.
drop them. Yeah, but only the ones that are in the specific store for that boss.
Mm,
So the weapon can drop from both. So that's why that one typically has a higher chance, right? Because both of the bosses have a chance. That's why a lot of people are saying now, like, don't make the arcane weapon yet, because once you start running the bosses, you have twice the chance of getting those basically as the other drops. So so that's 154. That's a jump. That's a decent jump, and then the arcane weapon is 221. So that's why usually I do think it's a very good move for arc specifically to get to 220 to get the arcane weapon, because then you get the goddess blessing, you get the regular overdrive, right? The purple pirate one,
yeah.
and our passive all gain more weapon attack from all of those.
Okay.
And of course, yeah, the base goes up by like 70. Yeah, almost 70 more base weapon attacks. That makes the flames a lot better too. Because you see, tier 6 for me is 106, whereas a tier 6 for you is 41.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just 65 weapon attack. It's pretty big.
Pretty low.
Yep. Oh yeah, and you see for me here, you see so the damage percentage is a 5, and then the boss damage percent is also a 5, but then the boss damage ends up being a 10 because of it.
Okay. That's a really good flame.
Yeah, so this I got this in like I think
really good.
I think I used less than 10 flames on this guy. I got really really lucky. But yeah, so that's tier 6 attack, and then tier 5 boss and tier 5 damage, which it's not like ultimate endgame, but for me it is. Like I'm not going to try to get anything more out of this. This is way more good enough for me, yeah. Bitcoin smashes 36k. Wait, what are you talking about? I thought it was like barely at 30. What the fuck? It's 29,000. Did it just go up like 5,000 euros in the last week? What the hell? Well, you said it was going to go to 100,000. It's going to 500k this year? Okay, that might be a little bit high. Wow, that is actually massive. Okay, but yeah. Is there any other equip or any other question that you had?
No, I think that was pretty good, to be honest. I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you get Wondroid or if you get Dark Lords of Darkness, those are big events. for totems and heart. Other than that, you're just, you know, you just have what you have and that's it. It's fine what you have.
Yeah. Do they do those events often?
Dark Lords is typically yearly, but for the last 2 years they skipped it around Halloween, and then last year they brought it back on like around February. So we're hoping that they'll do it again this year, because there was just like a lot of stuff going on already at the end of the year, and they couldn't like fit it in. And usually between like January and March it's pretty like dead event wise, so then they threw it in there instead, which is kind of weird because it's like a themed Halloween event, but yeah. But yeah, if they do that again, then that's definitely something to jump on.
And the heart?
Yeah, the Wondroid heart. I think that comes back every other year. Because we had, I think we had 3 seasons of it so far, I believe. Yeah, we were trying to figure out last time, like when it was exactly. If it was like 2012. 2016, 18, and 19 or something like that. Not 100% sure. But if they follow the cycle, it could be 2021 again, I guess. But yeah, keep your eyes open for those two.
Okay.
Wondroid and Dark Lords of Darkness. Yeah, I also have guides for both of those because they are such, you know, huge events. So you know, once the time comes, use the command, and then you'll have a big advantage over everyone else who's like trying to figure it out on their own.
All right. Well,
okay. Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, no problem. And I wish you the best of luck. I hope you can get the Lotus and Damien clears. I think Helix will be a lot more doable now. You have another nice escape button, so yeah, play around with Creeping Terror. Very good skill.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Best of luck, and I'll see you around.
Okay, see you later.
Yep. Bye. All right. Some good extra information on the Foundation. We basically gave him an iframe, a 5-second iframe that he didn't know he had, so that's huge. I wish that, you know, there was one of those skills that I didn't know right now. But I don't think I have room for that kind of that level of new information that would just open up the dimension for the class. Yeah, so some work, some rearranging for the matrix. A little bit of fine tuning for the link skills. Legion is already pretty on point. Not much to do there. A little bit of hyperstat and hyper skill mobility. Overall, just a little bit everywhere. But I think all in all, the completion of a little bit of everywhere, I think it will have a decent effect, because it just gives them a lot more tools for something like Helix. So I'll be able to clear that much faster. So if this was informative, I hope it was informative. I hope it helped you guys and you enjoyed watching it. I'll see you guys on the next one. And if you would like one of these sessions as well, check the description of the video, and maybe I'll be talking to you soon. Take care, and the US, please don't set yourself on fire right now, because future needs you to not do that.